So people, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. We don't know exactly where you are, but thank you so much for joining today for my session. And thank you for joining today for the all sessions during the day and the tour of Groundbreakers EMEA tour. It's very pleasant to be here speaking today. So thank you for the organization to accept my session. So let's get started. Let me just, okay. So the thoughts present here not reflect exactly the thoughts of my company, my current employer. So everything it's up to me. Okay. As you probably know, I work for eProceed, which is an Oracle consultants company, but for today we are doing some more. We are playing with more other technologies, not just Oracle, but some projects that we do. We develop some stuff. We do consultancy. We play with most of databases, and that's it. So if you already know about me, I am a senior DB architect working on eProceed Luxembourg. I am also an Oracle Certified Master, an ACE member since 2009, and I am also founder and chairman of in charge of Lux OUG. If you want to be in touch with me, you can follow my blog on WordPress, send an email, or follow me on Twitter or on LinkedIn. I am use most of time these accounts to share some knowledge, to share some things that happened on my daily basis. So as I mentioned before, I am an Oracle Ways. So it's a program, an award that you received based on your knowledge, since you are sharing some knowledge on the community, presenting, blogging, or doing some videos and interviews, since you are sharing some knowledge about Oracle technology, you can be nominated by someone else, or you can you can subscribe the nomination by yourself, but usually it's more common to be nominated by somebody else. Okay, so this is the link about the program here. You can check more information, and we also have the program Groundbreakers that the tour it's based on. So if you are working with Oracle technology but not directly Oracle technologies, you can nominate as an Oracle Groundbreaker. So as we are talking about sharing knowledge, this is an amazing source of knowledge, and this magazine, Our World magazine, it's totally free. It's online. You can go to the website, subscribe yourself. Every time they issue another release of the magazine, you received an email and have a lot of good tech posts about Oracle technology. It's a really good source to go through. So some examples of things that you can encounter on Oracle World magazine. So today my topic is about multi-tenant, and probably you are thinking why multi-tenant is something that is not fresh, is not new. Usually people present something about new technology, new stuff. So we are almost 10 years, if I do the maths correctly. Okay, not 10 years, but a little bit less. And with Oracle Multitenant. It was released on 12c release 1. We are nowadays playing with 19c. So why I decide to speak about multitenant, and I will explain you why in a couple of slides. Multitenant was developed mostly to work with cloud, as you provide some services and the tenants on it cannot touch on the other data. They cannot see somebody else's data. So why Oracle intend to design this? They provide the multi-tenant architecture for us. So you have a really big instance database and you can plug multiple small containers in this database, in this big database. So main thought behind this was thinking about cloud. That's why Oracle changed, I think it's my opinion, the name from G, that stands for grid, to C. So it before was 11G, 10G, and then it becomes 12C. I think C, it's because of cloud, could be container, I don't know. So this is the new architecture. It's not quite simple, but we have here a root container, and we have here the PDB seed, some user PDBs. Here we have the application root. Here we have the CDB administrator, which is a DBA, maybe a DBA for application root container that to administrate it. Then we can have the separate PDB administrator, and we have here the application PDBs. So this architecture, it's valid on 19C. It may change on the future, but on 12C release 1, we don't have this application root. This is a technology introduced on 12C release 2. And if you work with DevOps, you can automate a lot of stuff. For example, you can create in applications some objects that will be shared on the PDB applications using the PLSQL, views, tables. Using the sharing clause, you can share metadata, data, or extended data. With just metadata, you can create a table, and all the PDBs synced with that application will be able to use the structure of that table, so the metadata of that table. If you say on the container application root that you share data, all the PDBs on application PDBs connected into that application root, you can have one or many application roots in your container database. They will share not just structure, but they also will share data on it. And you have an extra option that you can share extended data, which means the structure will be shared among the application PDBs, but you can share some data that will be common on the application PDBs, but you also can, the application PDBs can have their own data inside those tables. So it's a really nice thing if you are working with DevOps. So to play a little bit with application PDBs, you must use special commands like begin install, end install, sync the application PDBs. I really recommend you to go inside if you are working with DevOps. Take a look on this. So here on 19C, we can see that we are able to use the creation of a non-container database. So you can flag or non this flag of create as a container database. So, and Oracle on 12c release 1 told us deprecation of non-CDB architecture. This is a hard decision for DBAs. So I am planning to go on 19c. Should I go for container database or non-container database? On 19c, Oracle changed a little bit the licensing. So now we can, since October 2019, create up to 3 user PDBs on one single container without paying the extra license, the license of Multitenant. And I strongly recommend you to don't forget max underscore PDBs parameter if you don't have the license of PDB Multitenant architecture. Okay. Oh mine, I got a mess with one slide here. So it's just let me just bring this to the front. Yeah, nice. So Oracle 20c is the first database with CDB only release. So probably when I talked about multi-tenant, you might ask why I need to learn multi-tenant. So that's the bad news for the guys who doesn't know about multi-tenant. And on 20c and the new releases after 20c, there is no more CDB on it. So non-CDB will completely out of the table. Okay. So this is the non-CDB architecture as you probably work as a DBA since 8i, 9i, 10g, 11g, and so on. And the thing have changed on 12c to the new architecture. So you have big databases and small PDBs plugged on it. Pros, it simplified the architecture, so we have less administration, not necessarily true, but yes, we have some few steps to work on it. To do some patch maintenance, cons of this architecture. If you have, for example, downtime, you probably consolidate a lot on it, so you will have a downtime affecting more than one system in your park and on your data center. So that is when the magic starts, when you create a container database and you have to, if you are doing by hands, you use the enable pluggable database clause. And after that, you can check on $$ database. There is a special column there, CDB column after 12c release 1 that have the values yes or no. So to create the PDBs, you can use by cloning from seed, you can cloning a local PDB or a remote PDB. You can create by snapshot, you can create by snapshot copies. You can use refreshable PDBs, which was introduced in 18c, if I am not wrong. Or you can also create in PDBs by plugging it from non-CDB architecture. You can use full transportable tablespace, you can use data pump, you can use Oracle Golden Gate, you can use relocation of pluggable database, or you can create a PDB as a proxy. So top features by version. It's listed on Oracle site, the multi-tenant as a top version on 12c, yes. So we have CDB resource plan, PDB resource plan introduced on 12c release 1, full transportable tablespace. On 12c release 2, it's a very cool feature, because in the 12c release 1, we must put the local PDB or remote PDB in read-only mode to do the replication, to do the copy. After 12c release 2, because of the local undo clause feature, we can create clone a PDB without putting the source PDB in read-only mode, which is very nice for us, especially if you are doing with a production thing, if you are working in a production. So PDB archive to have one huge file instead table spaces and XML files separated in your local file system. Flashback pluggable database, PDB charset. Before 12c release 2, we can just use one charset. After 12c release 2, we can create multiple PDBs with different charset on a single container database. Also on 18c, Oracle introduced more things. So ISM clone, key store for people who are working with TDE encryption. So DBCA, PDB clone, and 31 more features. And on 19c, we got more, so relocation using DBCA in silence mode, ADDM per PDB, so workload capture and replay with PDB, and every time Oracle transform more and more a PDB in a unique thing, so you can have more control. After the versions, we have more and more parameters to control the behavior of a single PDB, not the whole instance. Okay. Best aspects, in my opinion, we have non-change of code to transfer one application on a regular database, a non-container database, to migrate this application to 12c with multi-tenant. It's completely transparent. When you have an application, usually you point to a host name, or in case of rack, multiple names, a scan name, a service, and the port number. It's still the same for working with pluggable databases. So no application code changes required. It works pretty well with Hack. It works very well with DATAGUARD. So we have best resource allocation. We have less effort on database administration. It simplifies a lot of tasks on DBA duties. So how to migrate it? We can use data pump, full transportable tablespace, cloning, convert from non-CDB to PDB mode. You can use Golden Gate, or you can use DB upgrade. So some experience, real life bad experience that I passed through the administration of multi-tenant, and I will do the workarounds. So here we have my primary container database with 15 data files on it. Okay. Here we have my standby database, physical standby, also with 15 data files on it, data files and temp files. So as you can see here, my configuration, it's with success on DATAGUARD broker. Here, I will just create a pluggable database on primary side. Let's say create pluggable database, the name, and we will copy it from seed. So far, so good. Everything is nice. So now I have on my primary the PDB1 that I created on previous step, and with 19 data files and temp files on it. Okay. So if I take a look on my standby database, Oracle standby here, I just have 18 data files and temp files. Why? Because temporary table space in pluggable database are not part of the redo command, redo content. So when you create temporary table space, it will not be created on the standby side. So we have a missing table space here, which is not affect the switchover. I did the switchover command here and everything was nice. So as we can check here, now my ORCL STB, it's my primary database, ORCL CDB, it's my physical standby, and everything it's working, but I still have difference, and broker even notes that it tested it on 19C. On 19C released 19C.3. Maybe these have changed on new releases. So this is a problem when you bring this database, this standby database to the primary, and we have a missing temporary file. So let's switch it back again to have the good names. Let's say that is not a best practice to have these kind of names on primary and standby, because during the switchover you can get confused with the names, as Ludovico said, and I totally agree. But this is just test database, so I switch over back and everything was smooth. Everything worked fine. Then I try to fix the thing on standby, but as my database is not it's just mounted, not open, when I try to create the temporary data file, I got an issue. Database is not open. Fair enough. So to fix this, we need to, first of all, turn off the apply. So we will play with the standby. So we stopped the application of archive log on standby side. Then we will open the PDB in read-only mode. And then we can create the temp file without any problem. So here, my standby database is also on read-only mode, okay? So now I am good with the number of the files. Here on my standby database, I have the 19 data files, and so far so good. My after I apply the fix on my database, I was able to enable the apply on, and the configuration still working on broker. So problems that I face during my administration with container. This happened on 18C multi-tenant. And when you have a rack with multiple PDBs on it, it may hang during a startup and shut down because there is a lot of PDBs to control. So in this case, we can apply a workaround, starting just one instance by instance at the time. So this will prevent your hack to hang during the startup because of this bug. I think it not happens on 19C anymore. And another big issue during patch exercise with multiple Oracle homes to apply, we had at that time 48 Oracle homes to patch, and imagine how many databases we are running on it. So we try to parallelize to apply a parallel execution on data patch, but it's not allowed at that time because of a hard code on XML file inside data patch. And the workaround I found for this, it's running the data patch in serial mode. Okay. This one, it's could be a big issue if you are plugging a pluggable database inside a very big container database, because the creation of PDB, it's a DATAGUARD aware, but Oracle have introduced it into 12c release 2, if I was not wrong, the clause standbys on creation pluggable database. And I think it was because of this behavior that I will show to you. So on this problem, I will show what happened when I plug PDB in within a DATAGUARD protected database. So first I will unplug my PDB, drop it to after I will create it using plug. So far so good. My DATAGUARD, it's running successful. We can see here. So the configuration, it's up and running. And here I have the standby. I have just on one PDB on it, or LCL PDB. It's mounted. So when I dropped the PDB, Oracle, it's completely automate this process. So everything is deleted on standby side. Okay. And we can see here on this screen the deletion of the files there. Then I will create the pluggable database without using the clause standbys. What happened? I got immediately an issue. Bad news. My configuration status now it's broken. It's with error. Redo apply immediately stopped. And let's see what happens. As we can see here, I have some data files and just for PDB1 system data file, no more data files. And I think for each PDB, we need to have sysaux, and temporary on it, as we have on other pluggable databases on it. And investigating on alert log, we can see what happened and what Oracle did in that case. So it will completely destroy my configuration on DATAGUARD. So data file cannot be created. So here we have some message. Data files are recovered in consistent state and everything, but by the end, just the system data file was there. And now we will see how I work around this issue. It's just a matter of, instead of recreating your whole standby, it's just a matter of recreating the control file on your standby and then recover this PDB. Okay, so the steps are here. Create the standby control file, then we shut down the standby, start up as normal to restore the control file. Then we restore the control file and start to work on the recovery of my pluggable database. Okay, just check the time, how much time we have. Okay, we still have some time. Then we can work on the restoration of the PDB data files. So we need to put the standby in mount mode again. So now the control file knows about the data files on this PDB, and we can start to working on the recovery of just this small portion of your database. Imagine if you are plugging like 100 gigabytes pluggable database and you have a standby with a multi-terabyte. It would be hard to restore the whole DATAGUARD, and you don't need to if you use this process. So first thing, generate the control file, copy the control file to your standby, restore this standby control file on your DATAGUARD. So at this point, the control file, you have the whole information about the data files on the primary side, and then you can work on it using RMAN. Okay, one thing important here, this catalog will do a cross check on your data files and put it back on the control file because you copy from the primary side, and especially if you are using ASM, the names, the path might be different on your production and on your standby side. Okay, so after do this catalog here, your control file, it's nice again, and we can work on the restoration of the pluggable database. At this point, my configuration still doesn't work because there is no data files of my pluggable database, and we'll be work on this in with RMAN. It's a special command created on introduced on 18C that allows you recovery from service on stand using RMAN. So here it's how I can restore the pluggable database PDB1 from service pointing to the service name of my production. In my case, it's a small database with a few gigabytes. So copy this data from network. It was easy. It was it doesn't break anything. But imagine copy multi-terabyte pluggable database to a multi-terabyte DATAGUARD standby database. Probably doing that over network can cause some damage on your network switches, and everything will get slow, and probably you have a talk with your network administration because of this. Okay, so here everything was shipped, so system, sysocs, and undo tablespace from my service ORCL CDB, and as we can see on alert log, as the broker it's already there, the MRP process is started at this point. So everything now is starting to be good again. So here we can see some archive logs to be have been applied on this database, and we can see now some standby redo logs being touched here. And for our happiness, the configuration become success again on broker. So depending how big your database it is, maybe you can go through a different workaround. This was my workaround to solve this issue, but you need to be careful when you are doing this, especially in a production system. Probably you don't have DATAGUARD for a non-production database, but in some cases you can have. But think about the solution and think about how to perform this workaround to avoid to fix something and broke other things. Okay. Now I can see after plug and restore, my pluggable database PDB1 has its 4 data files and 19 data files on total on my standby database. Okay, and also I can test here, switch over, and everything was smooth. I can switch over to the standby here. I can switch over to the RCTL or RCL STB, and everything was nice. Everything worked as designed. And the way around, it's also possible. I can switch over to ORCL CDB without any issues. Why I did that? To prove that my workaround, my approach worked. So the control file is good. The consistent of my database are good as well. So if I switch over and switch over again, I can test if the Oracle is able to start up and without any issue. So continue. This is the official workaround for that. So the note here with the standbys non feature was introduced, I think, on 12C release 2 or on 18C. Take a look on this note here to the official workaround for the problem that I present a few slides before. Okay. And that's it. Do we have some questions?
No, we have no question.
People are sleeping.
Um, yeah, Babu, are you taking a nap now? Just joking. um, let's wait for, I don't know, 2 minutes. If we don't get any question, then we can close.
Okay,
Um, but uh, probably everything was very clear explained.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Oh, we have one question here. You let me just put on the different questions, so the different screen. You have opened the DB in the hidden. Yeah, that's a good question. No, it not requires active data guard license to open the database on read-only mode. And in this case, you have the excuse to fix the standby. So Oracle cannot charge you with active data guard. But read-only mode, it's one thing. Read-only mode with apply, it's a completely whole story. So take care, be careful to not use read only with apply. That requires active data guard. Okay. Okay, not at all. It was a very awesome session. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for join. Thank you so much for enjoying the session. No more questions so far. If you have some questions and might be shy to fire here today, maybe you can ping me directly on Twitter, and I will more than happy to help. Can you tell anything about the changes for 12C? Yeah, I cannot change too much because I haven't contact. I just heard that 20C thing, the deprecation, the total deprecation of non-container data, non-container architecture, non-CDB architecture from the product manager during a conference in Netherlands. I was presenting a conference of an LOUG inside Oracle headquarters, and at that time the product manager of the product manager of databases was Dominique Gilles, and I heard that from his mouth. So it's a trust source. So, and if you take a look nowadays, you can see some notes about it on Mike Dietrich blog about the total deprecation. And in my thought, in my personal opinion about it, it was really difficult to Oracle to maintain the both codes, the both behavior of non-CDB and CDB portion of the code. So that's why I think they decide to get rid of non-CDB, as they really want to stick with CDB, with multi-tenant architecture. I hope I answered your question. Welcome.
Okay, so
Yeah, time is over.
Time is over, exactly. Thank you again,
Thank you so
Rodrigo.
much for everybody. Thank you,
See you.
EOC administration. See you soon.
See
Bye-bye.
you soon. Bye bye.